Hello again, everybody, and welcome to what should be a fucking wonderful edition of the Jim Cornette Experience. I am Jim Cornette. I have no idea what we're going to talk about today. It's Potpourri Day. It's my experience as we talk about what I've been doing this week, what I'm going to do this weekend, and what I'm going to do next year, and all points in between. Joining me in this, he's as much in the dark as you are. Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you. He's the Swammy's Pappy, the proprietor of the French Toast Chateau, the humble and lovable shoeshine boy of podcasting, your friend and mine, especially his, the great Brian Last.
Aloha, Jim. I think it's a pleasure to be here today. You hit me at the top with it's potpourri. Does that mean you better not tell me I watched these shows last night for no reason?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I nodded off. Here's the Cornette's Collectibles update, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've been waiting for it. I do it at the top of the program because a lot of you people got money invested in this. So for the people who aren't customers, please bear with me. But for the Cornette's Collectibles customers, here's the update. Ladies and gentlemen, we've taped the drive-through yesterday that airs this coming Monday. So we did something for Monday before we did today, which is recording on Thursday, airing on Friday. The point is, I was overly optimistic. I said, well, it's Monday, December 17th or 16th. If you get these orders in the next day or so, maybe I can turn them red. Just stop. Just stop. Please help me. Oh, please. No. I'm in the weeds, folks. Everything that has been ordered through Monday morning, December 9th, is now officially in the mail. However, you may notice that it is Friday, December 13th. Imagine that. And so I'm about 4 or 5 days behind. I'm battling this now. I've got a lot of stuff prepared that by the time you hear this will have gone out, but it's a 3 or 4 day turnaround, folks, and the stuff's coming in heavy. It's coming in heavy. So if you want your fine Cornette's Collectibles, I'm not even going to do the sales pitch. Just, you know how good they are. You know how cheap they are. You know how much they appreciate and value. I need not go on. Order this weekend, or for Christmas is not going to be merry for you as far as I don't want heat with people for Christmas. I got too much heat with people already, Brian. I don't want to eat with people for Christmas. But over the weekend, folks, get them in or I can't promise anything. And this is as good a time as any to mention. Have we mentioned this on the experience yet? I'm taking a vacation. From December 21st through January 2nd, I will finally be wringing my brain out after this year and doing personable things like sitting in front of the fireplace and petting the dog and eating home-cooked food in a leisurely manner instead of scarfing it down with one hand while I'm packaging the packages with the other hand. And if you order from Cornette's Collectibles, we'll be more than happy to accept your order, but it ain't getting filled till after the new year. Between December 21st and January 2nd. If you want to hold off till next year, that's fine too. You guys have been great. I appreciate it. I'm going to thank everybody later on for this wonderful record-setting year. But I don't care who gets mad at me. I ain't talking to you on the phone. I'm not filling orders. We're not recording podcasts. We've got that all set up. The programming is going to continue, but I'm not going to be doing it between those times. And I'm going to have some peace and quiet for 10 days in a row for the first time. And what did we figure? Several years since we couldn't even figure the last time I took 10 days off and didn't do any kind of business. No, I see now you're going over it in your head trying to figure out.
No, I can't remember the last time you actually took time off. No.
People don't realize how dedicated I am, do they?
I think they have a good idea how dedicated you are.
Well, and possibly how fanatical I am or how obsessive I am or whatever, but maybe not how dedicated. But no, for this past week, let's go ahead and give the people the schedule. This past week on Monday, of course, I began the day at the post office as I usually do, shipping the packages with the lovely Bree who has taken over from the late Susie. And she's getting record times now on this. I think we blew through like 120 something packages in less than an hour, right? She's gorgeous. So then I come back, and not only am I obviously still continuing to work on the packages, but also we're doing the things, Stacy and I, you need to do when you got out of town house guests coming in. This is the first Christmas holiday season for Stace since her dad passed away this summer. So her mom and her stepfather are coming in from California, or did come in Monday night. So we got all that stuff taken care of, get ready for the guests, pick them up about midnight. I'm up bright and early about 7 o'clock the next morning so I can get the boxes loaded in a truck and get over to the post office as normal. And then, Brian, Tuesday, that's when I had the dream that I wish the elves on Christmas morning I would wake up and get out of my bed, and I'd see by the Christmas tree light, they're packing my packages for me. I started Tuesday morning at about 11 o'clock after I got back from the post office, and finished Wednesday morning about 2 a.m., wrapping up another shipment for the folks. And really got almost ahead. That's why I was optimistic when we did drive-through. I got within 100 packages or so of the horizon. But I finally conked out about 2 o'clock in the morning. Wednesday morning, boom, ship again. Everything's good. And I came back and I was working on some more stuff. But then the lure of real life got in the way, because I thought now about Wednesday, about 5 o'clock, I'll go ahead and review those NXT programs for our programming here, the last 2 weeks that we've been behind on, and then I'll have a quick dinner with the folks, and then I'll do the podcast notes, and also I've got obviously some more paperwork to do. But my mother-in-law's in the kitchen and she's stirring the cinnamon apples. And Stacy's got this big ham in the oven, and they're flittering about having Christmas drinks and doing things that normal people do while I'm, packing these boxes and pulling all this stuff. And I say, I could make a fire in the fireplace for them. So I do that. And then the dinner's smelling so good. And then we eat dinner. And then I realize I hadn't got a lot of sleep lately, and I got a little drowsy. And I said, well, I could get up early in the morning and watch these shows. And then that's what I did. I went to bed, so I got a decent night's sleep, got up 7 o'clock in the morning. I sit down. I'm going to do some customs forums. I'm going to watch the All Elite show from last night, get caught up on that, and then zip through some NXTs before I have to go to the post office. And All Elite Wrestling, they had dark matches last night. Did you hear about this?
I heard about. I mean, you're not talking about those matches for the AEW Dark YouTube show.
No, I'm talking about this All Elite Wrestling television program that I recorded last night. Was dark as in pitch black, as in not on, a blank screen. Apparently, whoever has Spectrum cable, did not get TNT last night.
Oh wow!
It was basically, I zipped through about like 45 minutes of, I don't know whether it ever came back on or not, right? Because then people start stirring around the house. And I thought, well, and I'm going to get the post office done. So I come back and I do that, and I'm going to run through the NXT stuff, but everybody's stirring around again. And I hate to be an old stick in the mud. So I actually had to converse with people. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to say the same thing about NXT. Everything the Undisputed Era, Tommaso Ciampa and Keith Cole. Keith Cole, right?
Keith Lee.
Where'd I get Keith Cole from? Adam Cole.
He was one of the Cole brothers.
Yes, it was the Cole brothers. I knew him. That's right. Anyway, you can see where I'm at with his sleep, folks. And Keith Lee, everything they do is going to be great. It's going to be a professionally done show, and nobody's going to do anything stupid. And All Elite Wrestling, I got a break on because at least I didn't have to look at pockets or JoJo the dog-faced boy. So that would, their rating will probably be up. Because I told you that one time here in Louisville. The local station had a problem with transmitting its signal to the cable system, right? So it went out over the air for antenna, like anybody has those anymore. But for cable, the first 15 minutes of our OVW show was color bars, just nothing. They got the ratings in on Tuesday. That was the highest rated 15 minutes of the program. That's what I told the TV station guy, the sales rep. I said, you knew our business was a work. Now we know yours is. He's like, Anyway, so All Elite Wrestling was dark last night. I did not see it. And NXT, I have not watched yet. So we got no wrestling reviews on the program here today, Brian.
So I did watch everything last night for nothing.
Yes, you did. That's exactly right.
It's not as much fun.
and here's the thing. From this point is obviously, as I said, we're recording on Thursday. I've been to the post office this morning. I come back, we're recording. Then I've got about 150 packages to pack, to catch up to where we are now on Cornette's Collectibles orders. So folks, if you get them in this weekend, there's still a chance, 3 or 4 day turnaround. I can get it to you by Christmas, but by the first of the week, so just shoot up here amongst us, as Jerry Clower said. One of us needs a little relief. Because all day Friday, I will be working toward that goal as well. But Saturday, I can now reveal. I'm going to go ahead and reveal this. And we're going to talk about the story of this whole fucked up last 3 weeks. A lot of people have been asking me if I will be at the Bobby Eaton tribute event in Knoxville on Saturday, December 14th. And the answer is yes, I will be there. And everybody had been asking me beforehand, and I didn't want to publicly commit for reasons that I will go into in a second when I tell you this whole story of how all this came to be. But it not only is the event going to be live in Knoxville, but also it's going to be on Fight TV. That's FITE, fighttv.com or whatever. You folks know how to order Fight TV. You've done it many times to watch wrestling programs. And the cool thing about this is not only is 100% of the live gate going to Bobby Eaton, but the 100% of the proceeds from the pay-per-view on Fight TV, they have agreed to go to Bobby as well as all the money that's raised through the meet and greets and merchandise sales and et cetera at the event, except for Dennis Condrey is going to be there, and some of the money that he is raising is going to be going to the American Cancer Society. And we're going to be doing some photo ops for both of those ends as well, with the Midnight Express and I together. So anyway,
it'd be great if they turned on you.
Oh, shut up. Well, Who else? Everybody else has, for heaven's sake.
The last 2 times you've been publicly on a big show, and you know why I shouldn't say the last 2 times, but recently, when people see you on TV, you're either inducting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there you go.
The Rock and Roll Express into the Hall of Fame, or you're celebrating with them in the ring, practically dancing with them. I think the Midnight Express may owe you a shot or two.
Hold on, I'm trying to find, because I'm unprepared. Oh, it can't have a space in it. Hold on, I'm trying to find a goddamn website. Hold on here. It can't have an apostrophe or something.
No, it can't.
Can it not have an apostrophe? Does it need a dot?
It certainly would require a dot, but depending on...
Well, okay, that's what happened. And then it comes right up on the top when I put all the right things in. Why can't you have an apostrophe, but you need a dot? The point is, if you go to eventbrite.com, that's where the tickets are available for the Bobby Eaton Night of Appreciation, or you can just type in don'ttellbobby.com, put your dot in there, and it goes right to it. But basically what has happened is Matt Sigmund of the Heat Seekers has put this thing together and been planning it for quite some time. And it's just a night of appreciation for Bobby and all that he's done for professional wrestling, and just let people know, or let him know how much people appreciate him. And so that's what they're doing. And all the people that are involved are donating their time as well. Dennis Condrey, Tracy Smothers, the Barbarian, George South, Kevin Kelly's going to be there, Dr. Tom Pritchard, Les Thatcher, Bill Dundee, Bobby Fulton, Gary Capetta, the Heat Seekers, Brad Thomas, on and on and on, and many more, including legendary referee Doug Markham, from what I hear. So anyway, it's going to be in Knoxville on December 14th at the, it's the D1 Knoxville Sports Training Facility on Hardin Valley Road. Everybody that's local to Knoxville knows where it is, or you can get the pay-per-view on Fight TV. The bell time's 8 o'clock, and we're going to do a lot of meet and greets and stuff. But the cool thing about it is This is a surprise to Bobby still. He doesn't know anything about it. And even after WrestleCade, a couple people called me like, yeah, he doesn't know anything. Nobody spilled the beans. That's why it's don'ttellbobby.com. He thinks he's coming for an autograph session, just whatever the fuck, right? An autograph deal. And he doesn't know that the whole show and the matches that night and everything is dedicated to him. The reason why he doesn't know this, even though it's been on Twitter and been on the internet, is because Bobby Eaton is the rare individual, the luckiest one of the bunch of us. He ain't on Twitter. He don't get on the internet. And if somebody doesn't verbally tell him something, either in person or over the phone, or he doesn't see it on regular television, he doesn't know what's going on. Brian, do you remember when we could say that we were that lucky?
It's been a while. Too long.
But anyway, so that's what we're doing. I originally was on the verge of announcing that I was going to be there for this the first week of October. When I went to Atlanta, and one of the things that I learned from David Lagana was that they were doing a pay-per-view on December 14th and then TV tapings on the 15th and the 16th, because originally he had told me the week before in Atlanta. And so I didn't think there was any conflict. Well, then I heard about that. And I'm like, great, I've got one booking for the next 6 months on purpose, and you've just double booked me. So because of it being pay-per-view, because of it being television, and me being dedicated and feeling the need, I said, okay. So I called Sigmund. I said, look, I'm going to say I sent him money to buy like 50 general admission tickets to give to a kids group or some sponsors or somebody, whatever the case. I said, now I want to participate, but I've got to be in Atlanta. And the rock and roll have to be there also. So anyway, then of course, a few weeks ago, the kerfluffle with the NWA cleared my schedule. But at that point, I knew that, okay, the in-laws are coming in town. I want to make sure that that's cool. And also, I didn't want to overshadow, which we'll talk about in a minute. I didn't want to overshadow the event right at the height of our controversy with, oh, Cornette's going to be there. Cornette's not going to, and overshadow what they're trying to do for Bobby. So I said, well, I'll just... And also, to be honest, I didn't want to, in the middle of December, for the weather forecast call for snow going across the mountain and me have to be down here for 3 days or whatever for one show. So anyway, now we've watched the weather report. The in-laws have cleared the trip, and Bobby still is in the dark about the whole thing, so we're going to surprise him. So that's why I'm going to be there. So I do appreciate David Lagana having no balls and clearing my schedule so I can do the show I originally wanted to do to begin with. Well, no, and I blister David, and I will continue to do so probably until the end of time. But we'll talk about the NWA in a second in a more positive note. What?
And he deserves it. That's the one thing you. And he deserves it. So ignore that pay-per-view and go to Fight TV and watch Bobby Eaton's Don't Tell Bobby show. Well,
you can now. It's not like you can just get one. You can get both of them and just watch them whenever you want, these days. So I encourage you to do both of those things. But Bobby's is most important. But anyway, so as a result, I'm leaving Saturday morning now, headed down there. So I'm losing a day on the collectibles, but I'm heading straight back at the crack of dawn on Sunday morning. So I'll be getting back in time to process stuff to get it shipped out. And we're shipping every day this coming week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to make sure that everybody gets taken care of. And anything, hopefully, that comes in by the evening of December 20th will go out on the 21st. And then everybody's on their own for a little while because Daddy needs some sleep. And let's tell them about our holiday schedule as well for the shows. You're not going to miss any programming, but I'm going to take a little break in recording it. Next week, we not only Monday the 12th, but also, let me try that again. Not only Monday the 16th, but also next week on Friday the 20th, we have brand new first run, hopefully exciting next week, editions of the Drive-Thru and the Experience. And then for the drive-thrus and the experiences over Christmas, New Year's, which is, well, you can figure that out, folks. We've got omnibuses to get us through the cold winter nights, right?
That is correct. We plan as of right now to have an omnibus of Dave Meltzer on the Experience. Every appearance Dave has made on the show. Jim Ross on the Experience, as well as a collection of the live Jim Cornette experiences that you have done at the Charlotte Fan Fest. Was that the name of the convention?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You surprised me there. I was hunting for more scraps of paper for things to talk about. But yes, it is the Charlotte Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Legends Fan Fest that used to be operated back in the old days by Greg Price.
They're still hunting for him, aren't they?
I don't think anybody's looking for him. Nobody wants to know where he is. No, I'm kidding. I kid. Now, Greg will hear that and he'll fucking get all upset. Now, I'm just telling a joke. Just telling a joke. But anyway, yes, that is the New Year's holiday schedule, correct?
That is correct. And we're back with a brand new show in January. I forget. I don't have the January calendar here. I just have December, but first.
But yeah. All right. Anyway, I mentioned we would talk about the NWA event or the NWA in a more positive light in a second. I continue to see the controversy about, my departure and, I'm trying to figure out a way to defend the NWA without defending Dave, because obviously, but at the same time, you don't really need to defend the NWA because it wasn't any of nobody had the cut. Nobody had the right of edit. Nobody thought anything of it. And obviously that's the most important problem between me and David, is that nobody thought anything of something that I had said so many times before until, we all know the fucking professionally offended cosplay wrestling fans. It made a big deal out of it. And then suddenly everybody got offended.
Well, David didn't have any problem with it when he listened back to the show when he was editing the show.
Well, no, and I'm not
left out of the apology that he gave for you, but not for himself.
I was about to say, I'm not even trying to relitigate that whole thing otherwise than, as I've said before, I would have been a whole lot more amenable to working with a statement overnight that had read, Jim Cornette told a bad joke and some people were offended by it, and we did not edit it out because we made a mistake, which would have been more applicable to the offense than, as I said, I was branded as making offensive comments, and then they took the show down and cut him out so you didn't know what it was. So, my God, what did he fucking say? Was he somehow a fucking graphic and a description of a sexual act, or did he fucking go off on politics again, or did he want the people that eat dogs to be bombed, or what and made a big goddamn deal out of it. But anyway, the point is, people still continue to say, well, he overshadowed the program. And I just wanted to make mention of this because this is something that's kind of got me a little cranky over the last day or so. I was in some ways overshadowing the program of the NWA because, and I don't really know any other way to say this and not sound like an asshole, but I was the biggest star on it. And now that I've said that and everybody's going to get hot, let me explain. There's a difference between biggest star and greatest talent. I'm not saying that I was the most talented human being on that program, but I was the biggest star because when you factor in the amount of time that I've spent over 30 years in every major wrestling promotion at one time or another, on television, the exposure that I've gotten in major live events, pay-per-view, international television, just the amount of time alone and the amount of places I have been, now coupled with the fact that, once again, being honest and not trying to belittle anybody else, our podcast downloads and YouTube listens for the Experience are larger than those for the NWA Power program. So I don't know how I could have mitigated me being the biggest star on the program to not overshadow it in that respect. Not talking about controversy, but everyone's talking about it. It's also, unfortunately, not my fault. I'm one of the better wrestling announcers out there. I don't know whether that says that there's just a dearth of good announcers or I'm that good, one or the other. So when I announce on a program, everybody loves it because they like my announcing. That's all they talk about instead of what's on the program. I'm not causing that, except I am causing that because of my extreme popularity. And when I say something that people get upset about because I'm a controversial person, then that tends to overshadow the program because now all they're talking about is whether I should have said it or whether I shouldn't say it. I understand this and I acknowledge this. But I'd challenge anybody to go back on even the MLW stuff in the summer. And it was getting a little cringy for me, as I've said. I loved MLW, like Court Bauer, a lot of the guys working there, MJF, Selena De La Renta, fucking Jacob Fatu, I could go on. But when I was having to call Jimmy Havoc with the staple gun, that was getting a little cringy for me because everybody knows it violates my principles here. And one of the things I think makes this program and my commentaries in general popular, or at least listened to, whether popular or unpopular, is because they know I'm telling the truth and I'm not bullshitting people. I don't want a job. I'm not lobbying for a job. I'm not trying to make nice with people and say, oh, wrestling's for everyone, or goddamn, yes, we should all support all kinds of wrestling. Everybody knows I tell the truth on what I think is stupid wrestling. It shouldn't be supported, or good wrestling that should be supported, or anything else for that matter that I talk about. It's the Jim Cornette experience because I'm fucking on it and it's my fucking experience. And the reason why it's gotten so fucking popular is because I say what I think legitimately and tell the fucking truth, whether I like something or I don't like it, and whether anybody else don't like it or not. I believe I've mentioned I could give a French fried titty fuck what anybody thinks about what I say if I mean something. So the point is, yes, over the summer, sometimes cringy, calling Jimmy Havoc with the staple gun. But I would then say, well, that's because he's a fucking idiot. He's a nut. He's a nutcase. He's dangerous. Never once did I say on the program, yeah, the guy's a shitty wrestler. That would be unprofessional for an announcer. On the NWA programs, there are certainly things that if I had full say would probably not have happened, that were over the edge into the cringiness, but there was also a lot of good. But I never allowed Jim Cornette, the announcer, to overshadow the personalities. I don't hold the microphone for a heel to do a promo and then hit him with a one-liner that just fucking makes his balls shrivel up and his dick look like a fucking Vienna sausage. I put the talent over. I always make sure to be physically intimidated by any of the wrestlers, but especially the heels. I don't come out there and say, well, this guy's just a fucking piece of shit. Sometimes I might say, well, he needs to get a little bit better shape or whatever, but I don't take the piss out of the product on the air when I'm being paid to be an announcer. And I don't try to hog the spotlight and get more of my face on camera when it's supposed to be about the talent. Can you remember any time, Brian, from anybody that whether they like me or they don't like me, they've accused me of trying to steal the show instead of just stealing the show because I was the best one at what I was fucking doing?
No, I can't think of a situation.
Okay, so the point is, I don't know what else I was supposed to do about overshadowing the program. When people say I overshadowed the NWA, the Cult of Cornette followers and the listeners of this program, not all of them are in the Cult of Cornette. Some people like to listen to me to get pissed off because they hate me. And to these people, I say, fuck you. I don't give a shit whether you listen to me or not. But a lot of people listen to me because they're disgruntled like I am that they can't have their wrestling back because all these cosplay kids have hijacked it. Or they just like people that have a little common sense about some shit or whatever the fuck. And a lot of them listen to this program, and when I plug something, they go and they watch it. And then I don't ask them to keep watching it if they think it sucks, but if they like it, or the podcast that we plug from Wondery, or the products that we plug, or whatever, I'm not saying sign up for life, but watch it and see if you like it. And a lot of our people go and watch, especially the reason why I was on the program is because I like studio wrestling. I like the NWA, and they're trying to do wrestling seriously instead of whatever the fuck the other shit is. But I can't help from overshadowing that. And there's been consternation about, it wasn't a good, here's a phrase they're using now. It's not a good look. Suddenly, over the last year and a half, everybody says, well, it's a bad look, or it's not a good look. And that's another one of those fucking phrases. But anyway, it's not a good look for the announcer of one wrestling program to be criticizing the other one. Well, actually, I kind of thought that's why they thought that I was perfect for the job to begin with, because anybody that wants to watch the NWA and watch real wrestling, why the fuck would they want to watch that fucking cosplay bullshit? And vice versa. If you're so fucking far up, jazz hands' ass that you're watching this outlaw dog and pony show, that they're a big budget outlaw dog and pony show they're putting on a weekly basis, why do you want to watch the other guys? But you know what? Maybe if there was controversy, that might help both fucking companies. Or maybe they can just ignore each other and whatever the fuck. The point is, nobody asked me to change my programming and change my thinking and not knock stupid wrestling where I find it. Not once. Nor would I have. Because why would I suddenly say, well, I'm not going to give my opinions anymore and change my program and all the stuff that I do for me for a part-time job in Atlanta for every couple of months, to be honest with you. And once again, I don't know that I'm entering uncharted territory when Paul Heyman used to in the 90s mention his competition by name and talk about what pieces of shit they were, even while he was taking a check from them, by the way. And all I'm doing is say, well, there's men in the NWA instead of a bunch of fucking cosplay kids doing flips. Oh, goddamn. So basically the point is, what I'm working up to is I'm also, in addition to retiring from managing a couple of years ago at WrestleCade, what was it, 2017? Yes, 2 years ago. I retired from managing then when I managed Dan Severn in front of a great crowd, UFC Hall of Famer, old friend of mine. I said, this is where I'll quit here. And I have upheld that retirement. I haven't Terry Funked it. And I'm officially retiring from doing fucking TV wrestling commentary because it's not worth the fucking aggravation. So, every 2 years, I'm going to retire from something else I do. And maybe in about 10 or 12 years, I'll be finished with everything. But anyway.
You still haven't retired from wrestling, correct?
Oh, yes. Oh, God. My last wrestling match? That was ages ago.
It wasn't an official retirement, though. You didn't make a declaration, did you?
Well, no. I just kind of said, boy, I got by with that. It was to team up with Danny Davis again in OVW. I did that. What was that? 2015, 14, 15, whatever. I still got a few things to retire from. But no, it just, everybody started talking about Cornette's overshadowing the program. Well, somebody go out and steal a fucking show off of me. Right? I wasn't hogging it, and I'm not doing anything that I don't normally do and haven't normally done. It's just that I tend to overshadow people. Without trying, is there something? Could I have said, oh, hold on, let me drop 100 or 150,000 of my podcast listeners so that, I won't be overshadowing anything, or let me change all of my opinions, to do this program. I don't know what else to do. What's a boy to do, Brian? How can I be less assertive? That's what, sometimes it sounds like you're just sitting back and letting me vent on the couch. That's what Terry Taylor said to me when I said, everybody agreed when we left that production meeting what we were going to do. Why the fuck is somehow now it's being relitigated? And he said, well, Jim, sometimes it's just you're so passionate about stuff, people don't want to disagree with you.
I'll disagree with you freely when I think
I was about to say,
disagree with you on.
I've never been in a room with somebody I didn't want to disagree with. So I don't know how that works. But anyway,
I think they got what they wanted.
I do apologize if I overshadowed any of the programs that I was on this year with my star power or expertise or controversy. Last thing you want is controversial people in the wrestling business, for heaven's sake. Anyway, so what have we done here? We've given them the collectibles update. I do have a couple of pieces of paper jotted down. We've given them the collectibles update. We've plugged the show for Bobby. We have talked about the fucking situation with the overshadowedness. And you know what? As a matter of fact, if anybody that I've worked for over the past year, let's see who I've been on pay-per-view for, that was the NWA Ring of Honor combination. I've been on Vice TV, Vice Land, that was for Dark Side of the Ring. I've been on MLW on BN Sports and around the world, and I've been on NWA Power on YouTube. And what other television outlets did I appear on? Oh, that other thing, that hadn't aired yet. We can't talk about that. I'm just trying to think of if any of these people want to seek compensation for Jim Cornette overshadowing them and overshadowing their programs and overshadowing the people that they were trying to push as main event stars, but unfortunately could be overshadowed by a near 60-year-old pudgy former manager turned announcer. I wonder how those people could get compensation if there was someone that they could call to represent them.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still to the rest.
Yes, that is exactly right, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? This one hits close to home, Brian. Guess what Steven's working on now?
I don't know.
The newest case that he is working on and is starting to get into the phase of discovering all the details about, Zantac. I could have, at one time, I could have fucking cut promos and endorsed Zantac. Now Zantac causes cancer. The ingredient in Zantac, it's ranitidine. It apparently causes cancers of the liver, the kidneys, the pancreas, and other various internal organs. And this is the shit that I started taking when I worked for Jim Herd. For fuck's sake, you can't even stay off of spicy food, folks, because if you get heartburn, now you can't take Zantac. And they have been selling this to us. Not only, it used to be just a prescription drug when I started taking it during the Herd era, but then it became an over-the-counter drug. And they even have Zantac 150s, extra strength. And everybody knows I've had acid reflux on and off ever since Jim Herd. And every time that I would get the acid reflux, the heartburn, the whatever, boom, that's what caused a lot of my throat issues also, the fucking acid reflux. You know, it eats your throat lining. But anyway, pop one of these and you'd be right as rain. Well, now come to find out, instead of the goddamn, fucking burning in your chest and throat, you're giving yourself cancer with Zantac over the counter. So he is going to fuck heavy with these people. And if you have been taking Zantac, I guess, over a long period of time and have been diagnosed with any kind of cancer, it's worth a call at 888-692-8084 or emailing newlawoffice.com. Because, fuck, what's next? They just sell us this shit and say, oh, it'll fix you right up. Sure it will. Fuck. On USA Today, how did Zantac become potential cancer risk? FDA wants to find out. FDA updates. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, Stephen P. New, for whatever ails you, call Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084 or newlawoffice.com. And also the T-shirts, Brian. He wants us to, the cult members to know that the T-shirts are about on reorder and are still being sent out. And his are free. The consigliere of the Cult of Cornette, to all the folks who want to wear the Stephen P. New Law Office T-shirts.
Some shirts fly off the shelves. Steven's in the process of building more shelves. It's quite amazing.
Well, anyway, all righty then.
It's one of those days.
What about the...
Potpourri.
Well, you know, and actually, we joke about our lack of preparation, but in this case, it really is true. But I wanted to thank everybody. When I've mentioned all this stuff and I talk about and I crow about how great I am, as I first got from Lawler the fucking heel stuff when I was 16 years old. He's like, that's right, Lance, tell him how great I am. Don't be ashamed. Just what a fucking heel. But anyway, I want to thank the people responsible for it. This is a record year, the biggest year we ever had for the experience and the drive-through listens, and it's because of you guys. The biggest year we've ever had. You know, we had the kerfluffle with YouTube, and they were on our shit list for a while, but we got the new channel up and straightened out and moving along swiftly, and thank you guys for that. We've built that thing to where it is now in record time, and all you guys, how do they subscribe and do all that shit, by the way?
tinyurl.com/official Corny YouTube, or literally just go to YouTube and search for Jim Cornette. It's the official Jim Cornette channel. It's the first thing that pops up.
And obviously, you know, we joke about the Cornette's Collectibles, but that's another reason I love you guys, because you're an audience that likes the same things that I like, except for you people who listen to just to get mad. But classic pro wrestling, the DVDs and the books, that's what I'm going to be concentrating on more over the next year is, you know, I hate to hold on. Yeah. I hate to cry. Brian knows I do, although I'm the kind of guy who likes to wake up in the morning with a smile to get it over with. But I hate to cry because people are digging ditches, and Cornette's a celebrity. But I did not get to do a lot of the personal projects I wanted to do this year, whether it was work out in the yard around the castle to get exercise, or whether it was stay on my diet. I've kept the weight off, but I still eat shit, and I should be healthier with that. And a number of projects I wanted to work on out of the vault, some related to comic books, some related to wrestling. And I'm going to buckle down. My New Year's resolution is eat better, get some more exercise, do some more personal projects, have a personal life, and work on some of these things that I think you guys are going to be interested in, because the Cornette's Collectibles thing is just blown up. I mean, not only, it's not, I appreciate y'all wanting to wear the T-shirts, and the burger towels have been fun. And once again, I make everything affordable because I don't consider myself goddamn, Mick Jagger. But I really appreciate it when you guys buy either the DVDs, not only just of my interviews with people, but of classic wrestling in general, the stuff that we all like together. The books, Tuesday Night at the Gardens and Rags, Paper, and Pens, are still selling well. Because it's cool for old time wrestling fans or new fans who want to look back and, learn about that era. Obviously the Behind the Curtain project was really fun this year because it's true old wrestling stories, but presented at a different kind of format. And for people who like wrestling and comic books, like I do, and so many, and John Fell does, and Scott Teal does, and everybody seems like, that's been fun. And over the next year or so, in my spare time, which I'd like to have a little more of, I'm not getting out of the collectibles business. I'm probably going to take a few months at the start of the year where I don't introduce anything new, just to give myself a little peace, because I'm the next project I'm going to be working on, I'm not going to spill all the beans. But if you think the Midnight Express book became collectible and was a piece of work, this next one, and I know everybody's waiting for the Smoky Mountain book, and I'm not talking about that right now, but it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. And now that I know that there's a market for you guys who love classic old time professional wrestling, but love the collectible stuff and like high end, really good looking shit, I am going to be producing in the next 12 to 18 months. It's my goal to make the most gorgeous pro wrestling book ever published. And I've got some plans. And it's going to be some cool packages involved in some things. And that's going to be fun. So, but thank you for Cornette's Collectibles record year, for the YouTube record year, for the podcast record year. And honestly, for all of the live events that you guys supported me at and that I almost had a stroke and a nervous breakdown making, in addition to all these other things. But that's the weak sister in the live event department is, I think, what did we say, Brian? This time last year, I said, well, I'm going to cut down on my traveling. This year, I really mean it. So, except for things like this weekend, where we're going to pay tribute to Bobby Eaton, or in March, another old friend of ours at the show here, Bobby Fulton, is going to be putting on a Wrestling Fan Fest, an event, and Bobby's going to be back on the show here pretty soon to talk about that. I'm staying away from live events because I don't have time. I don't enjoy the travel, as I keep bitching about for the last year, and I'm finally doing something about it. That's my New Year's resolution, and I've started not answering the phone, which is the first step of me always getting in trouble. So I apologize for the people I haven't called back yet, but if you know me and you call me and I think that you're going to try to book me somewhere, explain in your voicemail that you're not trying to book me somewhere, and I'll call you back.
And then when they try to book you somewhere, what do? You hang up?
No, I just say you lied to me, motherfucker. And it's like, well, how long have I been? This is the second year in a row I've been saying this. People keep fucking, like Jeff Jarrett. First thing I hear from him is, I got something I want to run by you. I know there's trouble there. It's like I'm a recovering alcoholic and they keep trying to hand me a bottle of fucking whiskey. Please quit booking me, or offering to book me, or trying to book me, or whatever. No, in all seriousness, I'm going to do the thing with Bobby, the both Bobbies, Eaton and Fulton. And I do have Lexington Comic and Toy Convention back on the schedule in March this year, because it's an hour from the house and Jared Greer won't speak to me again. But for 2020, I'm going to be in the house, folks. The mirror cracked, as Steve Armstrong said, and something has to go. But I thank you, everybody out there, for this year, for doing all of this, because we couldn't have done it without you. And it just proves that there's a lot of normal, sane, rational, well-adjusted people out there who like old-time wrestling and like not hearing a bunch of bullshit. The one thing that we need to not do is plan these programs, Brian, because if we do, then we will lose our spontaneity and we will lose our viewership, because now they're just putting on. Well, if they ever think that we're yanking their chain.
Well, if they last through this episode, I think we're okay.
Well, there you go. Well, are you done? I'm about done. I don't know I got to go pack boxes, folks. It's a short one today. What can I say? I'm having a mental fucking breakdown. I got too much business. I'm too popular. I'm too successful, and I overshadow everything.
Well, let me ask you this.
While I'm getting no fucking sleep.
A lot of the listeners out there obviously have really taken to loving your reviews, and a lot of listeners also want some classic wrestling content. We cover a lot of that on the drive-thru, but in 2020, because there's only one episode left for this year, I don't know if you already know what we're going to do next week on the show, but...
Oh, yeah, silly boy.
What are your intentions in terms of the reviews of current wrestling, whether it's AEW or NXT or, God forbid, Monday Night Raw? What are your intentions for further reviews, and also any other thoughts about where the show's going in 2020?
Besides down the toilet, no, I think we got to switch up the WWE umbrella reviews, because NXT has proven it's a great program. They're not going to do anything unprofessional. Their talent at the top is excellent. But I think we need to switch to either, and maybe the fans can pick, whether we start comparing Raw and SmackDown, because I know those are a couple of different animals, more in line with what Vince still wants. So one of those programs up against All Elite might be fair, because let's face it, NXT is the program if you're a professional wrestling fan and you like guys who compete, at a high level, even if they still do too much occasionally. Otherwise, all this is they're high level stuff. They're great athletes, and they're not going to do anything stupid or silly or outlaw on that program. We pretty much established that. So that's the show the wrestling fans should be watching. the mainstream wrestling fans that want to watch the stars are going to be watching Raw and SmackDown. And once again, stars does not mean biggest talent, but who, when more people walking the face of the earth know who guy A is than guy B is, then guy A is a bigger star. That doesn't mean that guy B is not a better talent, which is what I was trying to put across the top of the program. Maybe they got it or didn't. But so maybe we need to go to one of the other WWE programs that's going to have some more of the hokey horse shit in it to compare that. But I think we have to stick with All Elite, because not only is it the morbid curiosity of how outlaw they'll get on national television with me at this point, and everybody thinks I've got some kind of blood grudge against him. No, Olivier disgusts me because he, wrestled the doll and the fucking girl, and is just a complete antithesis to anything I would ever want in the wrestling business, both as a fan or as a fucking professional. Just lack of any respect for it whatsoever. But I don't, as I've said before, I didn't want them to fail originally. I wanted them to succeed so there'd be another wrestling promotion. And I was baffled as to why a billionaire would put his trust in these unproven dipwits. But I think now, out of morbid curiosity, we got to see either how bad it's going to go, or when somebody's finally going to say, okay, I have to step up here and say, what the fuck is anybody doing? Let's right this ship. We have to, that story's still got to play out. So we'll stick with All Elite Wrestling. We'll go to another show in the WWE umbrella. How does that sound?
I don't know. I mean, I love NXT, and I wish.
Well, yeah, but now we have to actually quit watching the only show we really probably mostly going to like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they do their women's division better than everyone else. They develop stars and put people in a position of being stars better than everyone else. I think NXT is great. I'm pretty upset you didn't watch last night's AEW show, because I was really looking forward to hearing.
I couldn't.
I was looking forward to hearing your thoughts. There was an Emi Sakura match that seemingly was endless. But there was a lot of other things on the show. Some really good, like an MJF promo. And
well, see, that's the thing. It's not even like I can go back to the DVR and, that's how I tried to watch it to be. It's just blank.
If they put the whole thing on YouTube, would you watch it for next week? Or would you watch next week's show? What's next week's show?
Did they have a TNT on demand? All I know is when I finish talking to you, which hopefully will be soon, I'm going to go down and address a bunch of fucking labels. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing past that. We're supposed to go to Carrabba's tonight.
But
because I'm still trying to be friendly to the folks.
But here's the thing. We have our criticisms of AEW, and a lot of people obviously hone in on the negative stuff. A lot of people agree with the negative stuff. A lot more people agree with it than I think some other people realize. But we also talk about the positives. Introducing Monday Night Raw into that mix is dangerous, because that show, the last few times I saw it, was god-awful to the point where I couldn't watch anymore. Just the commentary, and I guess they moved Corey Graves and what's his name, Cole, off that show, so maybe the commentary is a little better, but last time I watched that show was unwatchable. The commentary was, you had to put it on mute, and then just what's going on in the skits and the segments. And apparently they've been doing some big angle with Rusev and Lana and Blaster Lashley. And
you make me want to watch Raw. All right.
See, I'm afraid I don't want to watch Raw. I really don't want to watch Raw.
Okay. Well, I'm SmackDown then.
I don't know if I want to watch any of those shows. Sucks. It all sucks.
All right. Well, fans, cult of Cornette members at large out there.
I'll
tell
take
us
AEW over Raw.
Really?
Oh, any day of the week.
All right. Well, good Lord.
Because at least there's the morbid cure. Look, there's some stupid shit. There's another Brandy Rhodes thing on last night's show. The Dark Order, seemingly they have a professional camera crew that works for them that makes these promo videos that are just so stupid, and I don't think it's connecting with any audience whatsoever. But then again, they have MJF, and I watched MJF last night.
Was he on?
He did a great promo. You need to see this promo, and I'm sure you could easily find it, because whether it's part of the full episode on demand,
maybe they have TNT on demand, and I'll figure it out that way.
But he did a great promo, and I'm watching that promo, and I'm watching him speaking into the camera from the ring, and I'm realizing, you know what? If he had gone to WWE, and let's say they put him in NXT, or let's say somehow they skip NXT and put him on Raw, they would have ruined him. He never would have been able to do what he did last night. Like, that is a good example of what AEW, like the best of AEW, of taking a guy and saying
the concept of AEW.
Yeah, the concept. Go do your thing. We're not going to script you. You know, I don't know if they give him bullet points or not, but we're not going to script you. Go out there and do this. If he,
I've produced his interviews, which in MLW, which basically consist of telling him approximately how long he might have, and boy, if you stand here, the light will look good, and then he just does it.
If he had gone to NXT even, and I love NXT, his interviews would have started getting scripted. If he went to Raw, God forbid, he'd be unwatchable like everyone else on that program. So, I mean, that's a good case. Him, Cody, there are certain guys that it's a good case for the concept of AEW. And then there's other guys who, when left to their own devices, clearly show that they shouldn't be left to their own devices. And there's probably going to be an intervention at some point in the next few months where Tony Khan and Chris Jericho and Cody have to sit down with some other guys and say, look, this isn't working. I know you really like this women's division, but no more commercial break Emi Sakura matches. No more.
Oh, boy.
No more. You know, this tag team division really isn't working out the way we hoped it would. But we'll see what happens. What do I know? The only booking I've done is my G.I. Joe Wrestling Federation. But hey.
Well,
we drew 100,000 people for General Hawk versus Doc. So what do I know?
That's true. You sold out the pay-per-view.
Sold out? Yeah.
But no, what we said last week on the program, the thing about wrestling is that, yes, you have to leave guys to their own devices and to let them do their own things and get themselves over. But you also have to be smart enough to pick the people that can do that in a positive way instead of in a like, oh, fuck, we don't want to see any more of this guy. And sometimes it's what happens when even, like I said, even Jericho with that party segment, this is what happens when you let the boys do what the boys want to do all the time. And there's no one person there to say, whoa, you've swerved out of the lane here. You got to get back on the highway. I'm
going to say something else that you may completely disagree with me on, and I don't care. But I watched some of NXT last night. And to be honest, I'm glad we didn't review it because I didn't watch the whole show. I just didn't get a chance yet. But the opening match was Lio Rush versus Angel Garza. And not only did I love the match, I've become a Lio Rush fan. I think he is really, really good. And I thought he was great in this match. Not just, look, it's a modern style, so there's a lot of things I don't like with all the kickouts after big moves and stuff. But for that kind of match, I enjoyed this better than a similar kind of match you would see on AEW TV. And the crowd was totally into it. But his facials were great. I just thought it was a great match for both guys, but I've really started to like Lio Rush.
Well, that's the thing. He can do all that shit. And that's why I had the concept I had for him before that we talked about on the program of being the hottest manager in the fucking world, because the heat getting facials and everything he does physically looks fabulous. It's just that it's just such a preposterous visual that he's so small and doing all those things as a wrestler with me, just mentally, I'm just like, but I can see where he would be a Bobby Heenan. He would be a better performer than anybody in the ring as a manager, but I think you could make more money with him.
Let me ask you a question.
And see, there's a difference between how can you make more money with a guy than whether he has great matches or not.
Do you have a problem with him and his size being in a cruiserweight division?
Not any more than I don't give a shit about the cruiserweight division, because honestly, they've been struggling in the wrestling business for 40 years for a way to, or a name or a concept for a lighter weight division. And whether it went from junior heavyweights to light heavyweights to cruiserweights to whatever the fuck weights and the X division in TNA, here was my review of the guys. They had 6 X division guys in a match on a TNA program that I was asked to critique. And I said, well, this is the same 5 X division guys you beat every fucking week, plus the one guy that had some personality. I'm not even going to mention any names because for the purpose of the exercise, it was just that invariably the cruiserweights, the light heavyweights, the X division guys, the junior heavyweights, whatever that they establish in whatever promotion, those guys are invariably middle card guys that get beat a lot. And so and then now it's just an excuse for smaller fucking wrestlers. But when, Lio Rush may have a great match, but it's not going to ever headline WrestleMania. But it's, Batista's going to. So
would you have thought 15 years ago, let's say, would you have thought Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson at the time would have ever main evented a WrestleMania?
No, I would not. And that wasn't because of Bryan's size. That was because of Vince McMahon's thought process at that point in time. But no, see, here's the thing. Stand Bryan Danielson next to fucking Lio Rush, and you'll get the picture. Bryan's within the bounds of credibility visually. Mentally, you can process it. He's so good. He's such a good performer. But also he has Bulldog Brower was like 5'6", but he was a power lifter and weighed 280 pounds if you went by height, or if you went by, weight. So you have to go by visually. Is it just too far beyond the pale? And in some of these cases, yes, it is. Jungle Boy is not, because he's an underdog babyface that can master the art of getting the shit kicked out of him and looks like that and looks like an athlete. He's not too small. But a guy that didn't look like that, with maybe was 2 inches shorter but 30 pounds heavier or some other fucking slight variation, no, it wouldn't work. It's visual. It's physical charisma, magnetism of some kind, the way it's all put together and the way you use it.
Speaking of Jungle Boy, or Jungle Jack Perry, as Jim Ross has now taken the call. Jim Ross just calls him whatever he wants each and every week.
At any point in time.
But last night on AEW, one of the matches was Sammy Guevara versus Luchasaurus, furthering the whole Inner Circle versus, what are they, the Jurassic Express program, leading up to next week's big AEW show, which is their last one of the year. Hey, another question for you after watching last night's show.
Well, but wait a minute, that match, what happened?
You want me to tell you what happened?
Sure.
I believe, now I got to remember what the actual result was. Usually I rely on you and your reviews. I believe Luchasaurus won, and there was a whole kerfluffle with Marco and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Inner Circle, which ended with something that you had booked, I think maybe last week on The Experience, where in the midst of this brawl, Jungle Boy pins Jericho with Marco's stunt counting the pin. The place pops, and they all run out of the ring, and now Jericho leading into that match.
Wait a minute, I said that somewhere, didn't I?
You said it, I believe, on the show last week.
But I'd also pitched the idea of, I can beat you twice in 10 minutes, and he only beats him once so he could win, or you could do the fast count with the fucking... All right, well, anyway, here's what I was going to say. With that, Sammy Guevara versus Luchasaurus is great as long as Luchasaurus bounced him around like a ping pong ball, and then they did business afterwards. Sammy Guevara has the fucking smart-ass face, and he's a little pale, skinny prick, and he gets heat when he gets beat up. He's that cat. As long as you don't completely lay him out and humiliate him and finish him off, you can beat him up, and then he can come back and be a yippy dog at your fucking feet, right? But once again, if they did fucking a serious angle afterwards trying to get some heat back and Marco Stunt's involved, then like the other week when he grabbed whoever's leg because that's all he could reach and he was punching him in the thigh because he's such a, it's comedy. It turns a serious visual into comedy regardless of what he fucking does. So, but there's ways you can... there's no hard and fast rule of thumb about size, but there is at some point a boundary of credulity.
There were a couple other things I was really hoping to hear your thoughts. There was a tag team match. It was Kenny Olivier and Adam Page, the Hangman, some call him, versus Shawn Spears, who did his whole, the lights go out, and all of a sudden, I guess when the lights go out, he runs as fast as he can onto the stage to put his chair down and then casually sit there as the lights come up. I don't know how, they haven't explained how that happens, but it's him and Kip Sabian with the beautiful Penelope Ford. And in the middle of this match, and by the way, I have to say, I thought this was maybe the best use of Adam Page on AEW in a tag team match because he got to show his strengths. it didn't go too long with just Adam Page. I actually really liked him in this match. The lights go out, they come back on, and Jelly Nutella, of all people, has somehow, I guess, kidnapped Tully Blanchard and has him on the stage in Sean Spears' chair, tied up.
No.
And then Sean Spears flips out because Tully has been taken hostage by this little, very tiny man. And he runs over there, and then him and Jelly Nutella brawl a little bit. But just the lights go out. It's just the worst booking crutch there is. The lights go out.
But yeah, who's on the fucking switch?
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
I can understand if it's an entrance, that's supposed to be laid out that way. But suddenly the lights go out, and when they come back on, Jelly Nutella's brother-in-law is in the truck, said, turn the lights out. We just kidnapped this guy. And secondly, I know Tully fucking Blanchard, and he didn't go anywhere with Jelly Nutella that he didn't want to go. And there's no way that Jelly would have been able to make him. As he would have said to Jelly in 1986, son, I take pills bigger than you. So how is it, and how is that a good use of Tully Blanchard that a legend like that can be just shanghaied and kidnapped, even if it was plausible or legally realistic, that he could just be fucking kidnapped and drug out there on a fucking chair?
And by the way, the fans reacted to it just the way you would think they would. No one gave a shit. No one fucking cared. But by the way, so the two baby faces, Olivier and Adam Page, are wrestling two heels, Kip Sabian and Sean Spears. I think even though AEW says we don't need those old tropes, I'm pretty sure those roles are actually defined for these four guys. And it's the heel's manager that is kidnapped, causing him to leave. And then you get the baby faces 2-on-1 against the heel. It just made no sense. But beyond that, there was one match I really wanted to hear what you thought of. The Young Bucks versus Proud and Powerful in a street fight. A Texas street fight.
Oh, why are you teasing me? Now I've got to go find this and watch this fucking thing.
That was my goal. Imagine a street fight, but with flips.
Like... Of course, it looked just like Manny Fernandez and fucking Dusty Rhodes coming in with boots and cowbells and leather weightlifting belts into this Texas street fight. These two fucking grade school children that look like they should be pinned up on a poster on some 13-year-old girl's wall in a Texas street fight.
No,
all right.
Well, no. Nick Jackson at this point, he looks like one of those members of Menudo they're getting ready to kick out because he's gotten too old. Like, he can't pull off the young thing too much longer. But no, there's also some good stuff. The way they used John Moxley, I thought was really strong. The MJF promo. I want to also know how you feel about, they ended up doing Cody and QT Marshall versus the Blade and the Butcher. And they finally explained, and apparently they didn't do this on TV last week. They did this on YouTube, that MJF has brought in the Blade and the Butcher and the Bunny. He's the one who's paid
wait a
them.
minute. Call them by their proper names.
The Butcher, the Baker, and the Candlestick Maker?
Yes.
He brought them in. I think I know who the Candlestick Maker is of that bunch, but he brought them in. And yes, there's that. And of course, there's a great Dark Order and Brandy Rhodes segment. There's some stuff I really want to know what you think. And I'm sure listeners do as well.
Well, now that you've brought that up, and I'm basically saying I didn't see it, so they don't know what I'm going to think. Now you've either teased for next week, or you've put this show completely in the shitter, or both.
I think we took care of that within the first.
You took care of that. All right. Well, anyway, I got things to do, folks. Thank you for a wonderful year. I hope I have clarified some of the other things. Keep watching NWA Power and keep harassing Dave Lagana, because both of them are fun. Come see me this weekend if you're in Knoxville, or watch the pay-per-view of the event, the Bobby Eaton Tribute, A Night of Appreciation, on December 14th. And stay tuned for actual good programming coming up next week and in 2020 when I get this mental pressure off of me and get all of your shit swiftly shipped to the shitty destinations that it is being shipped to.
And send in any submissions for the Jim Cornette Experience or Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru Song Contest for new intro music to cornydrivethru@gmail.com. Let me throw that in.
Yes, and let us know what you want us to be talking about next year, which wrestling programs we're going to have to suffer through for your pleasure.
And you can hear me on the 605 Super Podcast at 605pod.com.
Yes, you certainly can. If anybody at this point is interested, we're still even out there. Hey, they can't all be winners, folks. I got a lot of shit to do. Until next week, at least, for Brian, thank you. Fuck you. Bye-bye, everybody.